Okay, we like light purple too.
I like Purple Rain.
Purple rain.
I never been to college with a pain.
Thank you very much, Adam. Yes, we are in the Corporate Four Course IDEX studio session with Skillet. Welcome to Boise, Idaho. So, 21 years, 10 albums, is that what we're looking at?
That's about, it's our 21st year, that's right.
So if you could go back and tell yourself, or give yourself some advice.
We don't have enough time for that conversation, but yes, I definitely would tell myself, younger me, that it's called music business for a reason. There's a business. I thought we were just going to, write music and do art and have fun, and it's not. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of. I knew it'd be a lot of work, but I didn't know that I needed to understand how the business of it, was really run. And it's tough to keep something going for 20 years if you're not paying the bills properly, and you got to go back and pay your back taxes. That's not fun.
do you find it more of a struggle, or maybe some type of stereotype when a label such as a Christian band is put upon a band? Do you find that there's maybe more of a struggle in that?
In some ways, yeah. People like labels because people just kind of want to know what they're dealing with. Kind of like saying, "Oh, you play in a rock band. Like, who do you sound like?" People like to know those sort of things.
Right.
So, in that sense, I don't mind it. I just tell people I'm in a rock band. I usually don't say I'm in a Christian rock band. It takes a really long time to say, and people don't know what that is. Or they think they know what it is, and it might not be accurate. So definitely there are some drawbacks to that. People think that maybe you only sing religious songs,
right,
you only sing to religious people. So that can be a little stifling. But in the same sense, sometimes people just want to know, if they are religious, they go, well, are you still a Christian band? They always ask that, and what they really mean is, do you still sing about your faith? And I say, yeah, we are, because that's who we are. So labels are good for some people, bad for some. I don't care. As long as people come to the shows and buy the music, I'm cool,
So I can't help but think that
definitely buy the music. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Maybe more so early on in your career, but the reputation of a rock and roll band has a lot of
sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Exactly. And how do you go about? I'm sure some of those temptations have come across your table. How have you dialed into those?
Sure. I think for me, rock music was just always about the music. I'd always heard the sex, drugs, rock and roll mantra. I just thought that was like the 60s. In my mind, I was like, yeah, I guess that was the whole thing. And for me, it was just about the music and the emotion of it and the way it made me feel. So still, even today, when I go see rock bands play, for me, it's all about the music. So that stuff wasn't really, tell you the truth, not really tempting to us. I think our heads are on very kind of straight. It's about the music for us, about the fans, making the fans happy. And the funny thing is that most bands that have been around for 20 years, even if they were sex, drugs, rock and roll, after 20 years, they're all clean and sober.
Right.
Because you can't keep doing that for that long. And so that's the funny thing, is that a lot of those people still sing about sex and drugs, but they all have families, and they go to bed as soon as the show's over, and they don't. It's funny because a lot of the people that are from AA, they don't do caffeine, they don't do any sort of drug, if you will, even caffeine and things like that. So it's kind of quite. We're quite lucky to be doing this for so long. We take it very seriously. So I'm not trying to say there's no temptations ever, but everybody has to deal with that in some way, no matter what they do, for a job.
Yeah, that's true. On a daily basis, pretty much everybody has to fight their own demons.
That's right, yeah.
So the new album. Let's talk about the new album.
It rocks, man. Woo! Come on, baby.
Unleashed. It seems to me like it was basically, I don't want to say completely you and Corey writing the album. I just want to know the process. Do you guys collaborate, come up with some ideas and take it together, guys? Or how does that come about?
Corey and I wrote at least over half the record. We wrote about 28 songs for the album. We just had a great time doing it. It was really fun. It was very Well, maybe rewinding our last record was not fun to write. It was a real hard process, and we had a lot of cooks in the kitchen between producers and label folks, and I just really hated it. And so we set out this record, right, Cora? We said, you know what, we're going to have fun, and if a lyric might seem silly, who cares? We're going to record it and see how it goes. And in fact, our newest single that we're going to play for you guys here pretty soon was one of those songs that was really just, it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, and it was a little bit of a stick it to the man type song. It ended up on the record, and I think that's kind of the whole process was like that, right? It was a fun one.
It was fun.
We had a good time doing it. It's also why we called it Unleashed.
Yeah.
This was like, no restraints, for people that read literature, broke the fetters. For any literature folks out there. No. Anyway, so that's not me. I'm not a nerd, but some nerds said that word around me once.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear something from the.
Yeah. You know what? We're going to start with one that hopefully people will know.
Okay.
So all the people out there that listen to the radio will not change the station
channel.
when we're playing a song.
Skillet in the studio.
Woo! Let's do it.
You start this one.
Oh, 2, 3, 4. I must